All right, hello everyone. This is Josh, also known as Yashu. You're just tuning into another episode of the TLOY Talks podcast. You can get this on all platforms: Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, Buzzsprout, Patreon, much more. Definitely check out Patreon if you can too. We have a variety of tiers that are very accessible for everyone to check out. Basic tiers have the basic perks. Highest tier, you're gonna get like a lot of stuff and all that. But yeah, we're gonna get this started right here. So rapper, master of ceremony, event host is like the founder of Sunset Cypher, Real MC YYZ, and then you also have like the Cypher Squad and all that too. So those are some very pivotal ones. He's like the top 8 vocal scratch beatbox award finalist of 2023 and all that. Has released a project called Heat Rising, where you can only find it on Bandcamp and all that too. You might have seen him like perform like all over the city from the most part too, and need no introduction like right here and all that. We have Realije in the building. Welcome to TLOY Talks, man. How you doing, man?
Big up, man. I appreciate the intro. Thank you so much, man, for having me.
Yeah, man. I mean, we've connected for time and all that from like events here and there too. And like, I went to like one of the spotlight events, like I think back in like 2024, and like noticed like the curation of it, which was like a very good experience. Got to see you like open up for like the likes of Ready Rock D and Tusco and all that. Like you did your thing with the crowd and all that. And you're always someone that's like always like outside and all that. So you don't need like a body of work to kind of prove yourself and all that too. Like if you can like get a crowd growing, like always like works up from there. And I think that's what stands out the most for you than like any other artist I've seen like in Toronto. Like like even with like the likes of you, Master Inferno and all that, Eric Flo, like you guys like captivate like an audience without like the need of presenting like way too much music and all that. No.
Yeah, 100%, man. Thank you. I appreciate that. I appreciate you recognizing that. And yeah, I remember that Ready Rock D show. That was cool.
Yeah,
with Don Enzo and all that at
I think it's
in the
like some
Junction, right?
Junction. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that was a time and all that too. And like being a good beatboxer and all that freestyler, like those are skills that like that definitely like go like from time and all that too. And like you've been doing this, I think, since like 2015, 2016. So
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yeah, I've been beatboxing and rapping since actually high school. Graduated high school in 2012. And yeah, honestly, I just fell in love with it. Just fell in love with beatboxing, rapping. I'd be always the one tapping on my desk, you know what I mean? Because you just have, when you have a beat stuck in your head and you can't stop humming it or singing along to it or whistling. Like I was kind of doing the same stuff, except I was like adding drums onto the hums.
all right,
You know what I mean? Because it was just stuck in my head. I was like Busta Rhymes was stuck in my head, like Eminem was stuck in my head, Nas was stuck in my head, you know what I mean? A lot of break beats were stuck in my head too, because actually that's part of my foundation is as a b-boy. When I was like 10, 11, 12, I got into breaking, and that was kind of like my first introduction to hip-hop. And then it kind of transitioned to writing and then being able to make sounds with my mouth after hearing other beatboxers like Dougie Fresh, on tracks with Slick Rick and Rozelle, and then I started learning more and more as, through my upbringing in high school. And I also went to art school. I went to Etobicoke School of the Arts, which was awesome too, because I went there for drama. So I had to audition and stuff. Like I thought I wanted to be into theater, and I don't know, I just wanted to do something different. But I feel like part of the ESA upbringing helped with my stage skills, because I was put into environments where I had to act, right? I had to act on stage. I had to have stage presence. I might not have been performing in the way I wanted to have yet, but I was still on stage acting.
yeah.
And so I feel like that helped me translate to my music. Eventually, when I started doing Black History Month assemblies, once they realized, hey, we got a beatboxer in the school, we got a couple beatboxers in the school. And so I joined a couple other friends. At assemblies at the school, there's like a Black History Month assembly. There was another assembly that happened. There was like a play, so I would like do like a beatbox or a rapper in the play. And then also we had one substantial thing about high school was that there was this group on campus called wasn't campus yet. I'll get into that at TMU. But there was like the a cappella club or something like that. There was this a cappella group. And so it was mostly a bunch of singers, like music theater kids, but they needed another beatboxer because they were doing gigs around the city for like retirement homes and like hotel lobbies. And I was like, oh, this seems cool. So I'm like, let me go with them. And so we ended up rehearsing. I did the beatbox. I think I did too much rapping when I was in that little group. But yeah, that was like when I was like 16, 17. And so that definitely helped the upbringing,
Proper. And Etobicoke, was it like your birthplace for the most part too, or like where did you grow up in Toronto and like what the environment was like?
Yeah, so I was born in Parkdale, and then I grew up there for like the first 5 years of my life, and then I moved to Etobicoke, and actually grew up with my grandmother and my mom, and so yeah, like I grew up around pretty much like East Mall area, like East Mall, Cloverdale Mall, and yeah, my upbringing there was good. You know, I had a good upbringing. There's definitely like the temptation of the hood next door and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Like the temptation of getting into the bad thing. But honestly, like I always was raised with a good head on my shoulders, and I never like fell into the wrong path, which I'm grateful for. I definitely used music as an outlet and had a good family around me. And so, yeah, you know, I felt like that was definitely awesome. Going to school that I went to, there were there's a lot of diversity. There's people from all over the city. There's people coming in from Innisville, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
So,
man.
yeah, I definitely had a straightforward upbringing. I definitely I was raised by a single mother, and like my grandma wasn't always there. But yeah, and then also my sister was born when I was 14, and looked after her for a bit too, like during my high school years, and I also had like taught her how to freestyle as well. In high school and when I was growing up in my neighborhood, there would be kids that I would I would break dance with, b-boy with. You know, shout out to Kevin, JJ, and Janoy straight up, because like those were like the core crew, and we came up together breaking, freestyling. You know what I mean? Up to no good, like playing manhunt, like, you know what I mean? And so yeah, but they were the ones that like kept pushing me to like, yo, you should do this, you should freestyle, you should write, you know what I mean? So
Yeah,
yeah, praises to them for sure.
proper. And you grew up Jamaican, Polish, and Ukrainian. So, like, I mean, with a Polish and Ukrainian household, like, I know it's like very different from like a Jamaican household and all that too. So,
Yeah.
what were like the cultures like for you, like in general, like just like growing up like in the household and just like in general, like.
Yeah, I would say like, um, so my mom had me at a very young age, so she was very like, um, she wasn't fresh off the boat. She's very Canadian, very Toronto, you know what I mean? So like, and my grandma wasn't always there, but there'd be traditional stuff, you know, like Polish food, this and that. And obviously, like I have a big Polish family, so I'd go check them a lot in Mississauga. Yeah, just a lot of culture, a lot of fun. Going to Roncesvalles with my babcia, you know, my babcia really taught me a lot about Polish culture growing up. Like she's part Ukrainian, so that's where the Ukrainian comes from. Yeah. You know, and just being in the city of Toronto, going like living in Etobicoke, and then eventually going further into the city, you're just like, there's just so much culture surrounding me, like not just Jamaican culture, Polish culture, Filipino culture, you know,
Yeah.
all types of Caribbean culture, all around. So that definitely influenced the sound. You know what I mean? When it comes to listening to reggae music, like mom would play reggae music 24/7. Yashu was Polish, but she's always playing reggae music in the car 24/7. You know, so like I was listening to the Renaissance CD back in the day with like the same rhythm, right? Like 20 songs on the same rhythm. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
man. And I mean, it was like probably like reggae, like the household and all that too. Some pop, some rock, like all that sort of stuff too.
Yeah, like I'm mostly listening to hip hop on my own, because like I grew up in the MP3 era, where like the LimeWire era, right? And so you're listening to what your friends are listening to at school, and then you're going home and you're downloading on LimeWire. And so like, yeah, you just hear stuff on the radio that you like, and you're like, oh, what's this track? What's this track? You download it as a ringtone, like, you know?
Yeah, I know what you mean, bro.
Yeah,
Man.
so, but like if I could name like one crucial song from that era, is like, you know, like, oh my gosh, there's just too many, right? There's just so many. It's crazy. It's crazy. It's
bro.
crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah, true. Etobicoke, I know like the Rex has like a very like big like music scene for the most part too. But like growing up there, did you witness like any music like at the time, like growing up and all that, like just like the artists like from the ends and all that, or was it like kind of like
Very minimal, very underground. Honestly, I didn't see too many people making music. Like, it would probably just make it for fun and make little freestyle videos and stuff like that. But like, no one ever really took it super seriously. Actually, one guy from the neighborhood I grew up, Price the Boss, he still makes music and is doing a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, Yeah, but like other than him, I'm not sure like off the top of my head who's still like doing music and stuff like that. But yeah, no, shout out to the west end of the city, you know. I didn't know like too many artists growing up either, like just going to school. It was more when I went to university
Oh, true.
after high school is when I started getting really more into it. Going to battles, like not rap battles, but like beatbox battles and different showcases. Started organizing shows when I
Yeah.
was in like my third year of university as well.
Yeah. And you went to Ryerson, well, no, now known as like TMU. You got your degree there, like for the most part too. So how was that experience like? Going to Ryerson, and how like school life was like, and like even like starting like your music like career from there and all that. Also,
Yeah, I know. So getting into TMU actually took like a gap year after after high school. I wasn't sure what I wanted to do. I got into TMU and I was like, oh, I'm not sure if that's what I want. I got in for urban planning. I was like, oh, I don't know if I want to do that. And then I didn't really take a year off. I more like went back to high school to redo English and also take the prerequisites for engineering, which are like physics, chemistry, and functions. And then I ended up failing all three in the semester. And I was like, hey, this is not for me. I ended up just doing different stuff. I was just like, nah, I don't know. I was just working. Like, you know what I mean? I was just like, this is not for me. Someone told me like, oh, you're going to be doing functions and formulas your entire undergrad life for the next 4 years. And I'm like, formulas and functions. I'm like, that's not me. Like, I'm a writer. Like, I need to like use my brain in a different way you know what I mean? When it comes to my own mind organization, I couldn't do it. So instead, I ended up taking world issues like the next semester after that and English just to improve my average and increase my chances of getting into the program I wanted. But yeah, then I eventually got into environment and urban sustainability, which I thoroughly enjoyed. Just gave me a different perspective on the earth and just our city when it comes to how we manage waste, when it comes to how we take care of the place, stuff like that, you know? And then carried on to, you'll hear different environmental aspects in my music. And I definitely still wish to use my degree in a way that can help others. And I think that'll be like with events, you know what I mean?
yeah.
So like caring for the city, clean up events, just like different ways to get the environment and climate change industry together, you know what I mean? Through
Yeah.
music and through networking and through creativity and arts and music, you know? So definitely getting more into it now. But the most direct thing that I did with my degree after that was I worked at Hyde Park for like 4 summers, and I was a camp specialty instructor at the Children's Garden and Teaching Kitchen at Hyde Park. So that was awesome. I got to like teach kids about nature in the park and like organic gardening, and yeah, it just gave me a different perspective. It was really nice, honestly, and so I carried that a lot with me through my upbringing and my music and stuff like that. So
Okay, problem, man. And like I noticed you're more of like an empath, like when it comes to like stuff like that for the most part too. Caring about the environment, caring about culture, community, everything else like that. Was that something that you were like from the start of birth until now, or like what was like your identity, like kind of growing up?
I would say so. Like I definitely always felt leadership capabilities and qualities about myself. As I was in middle school and in high school, like even in middle school, I would like run to be some sort of thing in student council, you know what I mean? And then I also performed in middle school too. I remember performing like my dad's track because my dad's also a reggae musician, Fred Locksasher, big up. Um, and so, yeah, I felt that. And then even in, I would always be the one to break up fights in high school and stuff like that, or in the neighborhood and stuff. So, I never wanted to see even now, like I never want to see anybody squabble. Not even like physically, just like when people get in a disagreement, like I like to help out, especially if they're both my friends, you know. So
Yeah, man. And I mean, you already talked about like a musical like background and history with your dad being like a reggae artist too. But I don't know if your like mom's side of the family or like any of the friends like you kind of grew up with were like doing music at the time, and like what inspired you to like even like do this and like take it like seriously, for the most part.
good question. I would say I don't know, just being in high school and then also like seeing artists my age start coming about, you know what I mean? Like Joey Badass and other guys like Dylan Ponders and stuff like that, you know? And like this is probably like in 2013 now, 2014. That was definitely inspiring to see other people doing it too. Like knowing the greats, like I'm super inspired from Busta Rhymes, Nas, and the entire Wu-Tang Clan. Just keep writing, keep going. I got a loop station when I was in university, like a basic. It's called a VE20. It's like a step looper. You know, you step on it, I beatbox into it, and then it loops over and over. And I would bring that to Yonge and Dundas Square and busk with it. That was the first time I would ever busk with it. It was when I went to uni. I was like, oh, I'm already at uni. Let me just get this little speaker from Longo and Quaid. It was so heavy at the time, I can't lie. All the speakers have gotten so much better now, but the speaker was mad heavy. It was still rechargeable. And then I had like this little VE20 loop pedal, so I would beatbox into it, press a button, and then it would keep going. And then I'd rap on top and like attempt to freestyle on it. But yeah, that was definitely part of how I started becoming the beatbox MC, you know?
Yeah. Proper,
but as a child, it was more just listening to music and soaking in culture, and then eventually performing at talent shows in school and Black History Month assemblies and the a cappella club I was telling you about. Yeah. And then eventually after high school, like going into a battle. Actually, I think it was like my last year of high school, I did like a 2 versus 2 beatbox battle. It was my first one. I don't know if it was with Unity or Beatbox Canada. But I remember it was me and my brethren, Josh Middleton, and he's the only beatboxer I knew at the school. A couple of other beatboxers at the school too, but he was like the main one that I knew. And he's also a musician now too, so he'd be like producing and stuff on some wonky devices. But you know what I mean? Like the people around me has really inspired me, you know?
Yeah, man, probably.
As well as the greats like Nas, Busta Rhymes, and Wu-Tang. Like that's my top 3. And it sucks because it's like those are Wu-Tang is a whole group, but I'm like, still, you know what I mean?
Cool, man. Because like, you know, even when you mentioned like the people like, you know, Dylan Ponders and all that too, like Dylan Ponders like kind of like grew up in Parkdale too, went to West Toronto and all that. Like Pat Williams was like someone that, you know, kind of grew up in like Parkdale as well too, grew up in Etobicoke.
Yes,
like
I know
was a part
Pat.
of the, like the whole like West End wave and all that. Master and Funo grew up like born and raised in Parkdale and all that too, you know, kind of like helped build up the race too with the whole like busking and boom bap type stuff too. So it's amazing to see how like even within that circle too, you see like a lot of like people like in the creative like element and all that, you know?
100%, man. Yeah, Parkdale is definitely a spot for sure. Yeah, and like, of course, I only spent like the first 5 years of my life there, but I'd always find myself going back, especially like to Ranci area with like my Bapsha and stuff, and just meeting other people along the way, different kids along the way, going back to the city. And then when I went to uni, I'd spend more time downtown. But yeah, you know.
Yeah. Because I think the House of Balloons house was in Parkdale as well, so I think in Spencer Avenue. So like I remember like there was like some lore from there too on like how like the Weeknd kind of like had like his like upbringing like in Parkdale in the music side and all that too. So yeah.
No, 100%, man.
Yeah. As far as like artists you want to work with like someday musically, who would you want to work with and all that?
Bro, honestly, so many. And like everybody that's like in my inner circle, like Inferno, like Dr. Mad, Ida Sophia, like I hope to work with them one day, because it's crazy how we don't even have tracks yet, but like soon. We've all just like been putting stuff off, procrastinating, and like have a lot going on, you know? But greater than that, my hopes are high for Nas, Busta Rhymes, and Wu-Tang Clan, you know what I mean? I would love to work with them one day. Would love to work with my dad more. Fred Lux Asher. Who else? Joey Badass, you know. Zakisha. And I've been working with Zakisha here and there more. You know, I've been like her main beatboxer for like her past couple shows, which has been cool. Actually, it was just that one Rise show, but I'm actually, surprise, I'm performing with her again this Monday at Sankofa Square. So you hear to her first.
True. I mean, Underachievers would be like a good one to Kirk Knight, Nick Caution as well too, Flatbush Zombies. Like
100%. Yeah, no, 100%. Those guys are wicked, man. Yeah. I'm trying to think of who else. There's others, like some more underground artists from New York that I know. There's this girl I know named Dizzy. Yeah. That's like a great underground like freestyle artist that makes music too. I remember this guy named Wordspit like I remember going to New York like for a couple times, like 2018, 2019, like meeting a lot of dope MCs from out there. Yeah, honestly, like the people that I know I want to work with.
Or proper.
Yeah, I want to work with Fresh Kills, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like
yeah, man.
off the top, I'm just like, yo, my top 3 and like the rest of the crew, that like people that I be around. I want to collab with Junior T. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, man.
yeah, no, there's definitely a lot. And I'm open to collabs, so let me know. The feature price is low right now, you know, while it's still low. Get it while it's still low. You know what I'm saying? Get those beatbox scratches. I've dropped a lot of scratches over the years and like cuts and sound effects on different featured records with like Matrix, with like the guys with Collective Conscious, you know, and my boy Rupert Common from Montreal by way of Vancouver, Emperor Bo as well. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I know what you mean, bro. How did you get your stage name, you know?
How did I get Realije? Just realized it, fam. Real talk. I was like, I saw the word realize when you realize something, and I was just like, yo, if I just take away the Z and put my J, that just sounds like Lige, Realije. Well, because Lige is like my short form name. You know what I mean? My name's Elijah, but people call me Lige for short. So I was like, Realije. I was like, it's like literally just one letter off. Let me just change the Z and put the J, Realije. Yeah. And I just thought like that was the realest thing I could do, Realije. I'm the real Lige. You know what I mean? There's no other Liges except me. I mean, there is, you know, other Elijahs that might be called Lige as a nickname. I don't know any, but you know what I mean? Yeah, no. I know a few Elijahs out there that I've met over the years. Some in Toronto, some in Vancouver, even one in LA. I actually have a track with another Elijah.
All right, nah, it's a very great name, man. I think like I like the balance to it, you know, keeping it real and you know using like your actual government name to kind of balance it out. It's like pretty proper, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, man. I want to get more into the whole like master ceremony and like event hosting. So was that like more when you first started like Sunset and like Real MC and all that, or was that something that you kind of started out like way prior and all that? No.
That's a good question. I would say, yeah, one of the first times I ever hosted something was with the Urban Hip Hop Union, and that was started off as still is a dance collective at TMU. And so I heard about it when I was on campus, probably in my second or third year, and I was like, oh, what's going on? And they were changing. They were like, oh, we want to do like more hip hop events that aren't just dance. I was like, oh, word. Like, let me see if I can get involved. And then I met with them, you know, and then we talked and we were like, why don't we do something different? Why don't we do a battle? You know what I mean? Why don't we do like a cypher? And I was like, okay, like, yeah, we should do that stuff. Like, I can help facilitate that. So that was the first time I ever really facilitated my own event, you know, with the help of a student campus group, which is really amazing. We had like even a little table on campus one day for some sort of, you know, fair. And then we hosted a couple events. I was like hosting the cypher and like helping delegate that, bringing together the DJs, helping out with the battle, being the MC to like, you know, pass it off to the next battle guest, keep the crowd flow going, you know what I mean? Make sure the schedule's on time. That was back in, I would say like 2015, 2016 is when I first started like being an event host, you know? And then I eventually became my own event host with Sunset Cypher in 2019. And then and then even between 2017 to 2018, I'd be asked to host various different like events and parties and stuff like that. And so, but I would say I never really was like, oh yeah, this is a business. Like, let me like put like my own little pamphlet out and like have a website. Like I never did any of that. Like people it was always just word of mouth and people just, if you knew that I could host your event, you know? And so I always kind of was this freelancer who was doing pretty much everything. I feel like through my undergrad, I was mostly doing like delivery stuff, like Uber Eats. Like I got into Instacart. Like I got into like all the hustling type of things, busking, you know what I mean? Because I don't know, for me, I just felt like I just didn't want to ever work for anybody. Like I could, you know what I mean? And it depends on what it is. But I don't know. I just liked my money on site. I was like, this is the fastest way I can get paid. I can do it right away. I can exercise. I can be outside. I can be working on my craft. I can be sharpening my sword with the busking. Let me just do that. Yeah, over the years, just like, starting the Cypher, 2019, hosting my own Cypher. That's really what got me more into it. It's like, okay, if I host my own Cypher, like I can host any Cypher. I can host any event. I can host your party. I can be the hype man. I can be the MC, and I have fun doing it. So, I've done it over the years. I've hosted raves. You know what's funny? The one thing I haven't MC'd or hosted yet is a wedding, and I want to.
Right, man.
I'm gonna manifest that one day soon for sure.
Sure. And like it led to like, forming Sunset Cypher, Real MC, YYZ, and like Spotlight Session. So what was like the background and, just like the inspiration in curating those types of events?
Yeah, for Real MC, YYZ was kind of just like an acronym I came up with. Or it's not even an acronym, it's just more of like Real MC, the realest MCs and the YYZ. I don't know, I just wanted my own platform. Like I realized that like so many of my friends were talented. I was like, yo, Inferno, like Dr. Mad, KG, Ida, Half and Half, like Rhythm 7. Like there's so many people that are in my circle that are talented. So I was like, I want to give them a little platform. And so it started off as just me posting on Instagram. Like if you go back on Real MCs, like probably, I don't remember the year I made the account. It might have been 2018 or 2019. But I just started posting my friends freestyling. Like we would walk down the street and I would beatbox, and I would just, anytime that I felt a moment, I'd post up with my friends and freestyle. Or I'd capture moments of other people making music in my community. And that's kind of how it started. And I was like, why don't we use this as like an events platform? You know what I mean? And so that's kind of how the page grew to be that. So the page is meant to be a promotional events platform for local artists in the YYZ, the realest MCs in the YYZ. And who I see as an MC can either be a master of ceremony, music composer, whatever else you can think of for MC, you know what I mean? Music creator, you know what I mean? So, and the realest ones, or I guess the realest ones in my opinion. But what's the definition of a real MC? Like, what does that really mean, right? We can get into that too. For me, it's someone who knows how to control the crowd, someone who knows how to use their pen. I mean, being able to freestyle could definitely be part of it. I feel like it's an important ability, like to not knock it, to like not ever try to be like, oh, I don't do that. You know what I mean? Like at least try to do it. Like why not? You know what I mean? There's a fun aspect in not knowing what's coming next. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then a sword that could be sharpened. So definitely that ability has changed for me over the years. I still wouldn't call myself like a master freestyler or anything like that. But being in the streets and being like witty and quick definitely like helped that upbringing. I was never the best freestyler growing up. I was always focused on my writing. But over the years I've had fun with it and I've been able to busk with it and make a living with it. So yeah. I definitely want to take it to another level and collaborate more and put out more content, because I feel like that's something that I don't do enough of. However, I'm still happy and grateful to be recognized in my community to keep doing the work that I do,
Yeah. And, you're running and maintaining those runs like on like a daily basis for the most part. You're curating events, like you're curating it like every other Thursday and all that for Spotlight, and like handling like other events from time to time. So how's that like, running and like maintaining those brands,
Yeah, I would say with Sunset Cypher, it's been every year. So that's like every summer that we do it. So since 2019, we just like the reason I started Sunset Cypher was because I saw a lack of culture in the city, and I took matters into my own hands by coming to the park with a speaker and a microphone on my birthday. Like I was there like June 11th, 2019. I said, let's go to the park. And like all I want to do on the park, all I want to do for my birthday is go to the park and with my friends and freestyle. And I actually got the idea from a good friend, Ad Rock Soul, Abscon. He's gone by many names, Conrad, big up to him, because in 2018, he was DJing in the park. Literally had like a tiny little speaker. He had like a little DJ on his lap, and he would DJ in the park for his friends, and we would just chill in the park in Trinity Bellwoods and just do whatever we wanted to. You know what I mean? Just hang out on the hill. Bring our own drinks and stuff like that, bring some food and hang out. And I was like, wow, like why don't we do more of that? Like there's not enough of that. So, I kind of took matters in my own hands, and then We did it every Tuesday. And that's just how it started. Like I just I threw myself into it. It was just like every Tuesday, all summer, 2019. People knew where to go. Like I just had one flyer for the entire summer, you know? And it didn't seem hard because it was word of mouth. And we just had to do one thing, was bring the speaker and the microphone and invite the DJs and have the platform for different people every week, right? So we pick and choose who we want to be on there a different week and put the spotlight on them. You know what I mean? Different DJ, different producer, different headline artist, maybe a different musician as well. Start incorporating live artists, live painters, start incorporating some dancers, you know? Yeah, and then it was mostly that. It was mostly Sunset Cypher over the years, and then we also did a spinoff called Moonrise Cypher, which was like the fall, spring version, you know what I mean? And I remember that year distinctly because I went to Vancouver back in 2019 after that summer, and it was my good friends, Dran in the Land and Bennett Sobel, who took over Moonrise Cypher, which was the spinoff of Sunset Cypher, and continued the jam every week at this bar called Antica. Some real hip hop history right here, because Antica Cafe was a bar on Queen, like a record shop that was owned by Shant and his brother, and they have Tapestry now. You know what I mean? So those are definitely good homies of mine, and big up to all of them for continuing that tradition. And so I was in Vancouver at the time. You know what I mean? Doing other events there, performing. And then over the years, you know, 2020 was the first year where we had to do it during COVID. We ended up doing something so crazy, which was like, they were telling everyone who was performing that you had to perform behind a screen. And so my brethren, Ricky Rocks, shout out to Ricky, he's one of my main video guys, just celebrated his birthday the other day and performed at his backyard house party. So cool. He like put together like a whole production, hi-fi sound sessions, you know, did the whole filming, everything. You should definitely check it out. And he built me a screen. He built me like a transparent screen that we could perform behind because of the whole COVID thing. Because we were just trying our best not to get shut down. You know what I mean? We're just like, by any means, we don't want them to say nothing to us. So let's just do what we can. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so being an event planner is just all about like taking the punches as you go. Like, oh, okay, what's this? What's next? Like, this person needs to do this. It's all about delegating. Shout out to Dran in the Land. Delegate. He's got to check out Delegate. But no, for real, like that's really what it is. So yeah, and then 2020 and then 2021 comes around. I remember, so the traditional spot was Trinity Bellwoods. Obviously, there is rogueness to it. You're not supposed to pull up into the park and have your big sound speaker. It's really like a small speaker. It really doesn't make too much sound. We really monitor the decibels, and we would never go past 11, you know what I mean? So we were very respectful to the neighbors. We would always be like asking people how it was. Anytime we walk around, we always clean up the garbage after we're finished. But yeah, it was in 2021 when there was a housing crisis in the park. And then there was an increased police presence in the park. And then they were pretty much like telling us we couldn't do it there. So that was like the first summer that we took it to a different park. And we started like being more low key about it. So we had to like put out like a link or a flyer, or like we just never put the address publicly, you know what I mean? So yeah, that was 2021, and then that was also 2022. And then I'm like, wait, 2023 is, why is 23 such a blur right now? I'm like, I think it was the same park as well. We mostly did it at Coronation with a few at Trinity Bellwoods when we could, after it like kind of chilled out a bit, you know what I mean? Still had to be low key, bring the speaker outside for the people, you know what I mean? But 2024 was more the year when it became a production, because that's the first year I got a grant for the Cypher. And that was the first year I ever applied for a grant for the Cypher. All the other years I actually never got a chance to apply for funding. But the year that I did really changed everything forever.
Yeah.
So 2024 was the first year we got the Toronto Arts Council Creative Communities grant. And it definitely changed for us because we were able to pay our artists. You know, we were able to pay the artists, DJs, team that was involved in putting everything together. I was the main curator. I kind of decided who I wanted to perform with the help of Dren. And yeah, that was a nice year. But that was the first year we did it once a month. Over the years, it changed, right? My capacity for the event changed, as well as it got more booming in the city. So the lack wasn't there anymore. We kind of changed that. Since 2019, we changed the trajectory of cultural music and arts events in the city. There was more, which is awesome. You know what I mean? That's exactly what we wanted. So by 2021, we started doing it bi-weekly, right? So in summer in 2019, 2020, probably did it every week, all summer. And that was great. I kind of miss it low key. I think we need it again. You know, but there's other things now. Yeah. You know, there's so much going on, and also my capacity for the events has changed too. So that has to be taken into account. If I was able to get funding, do we see something like Sunset Cypher being once a week again? Possibly. You know what I mean? You never know, because there are other jams once a week that do flourish and they do great, but it's still a lot of work, right? So yeah, 2020, 2021, 2022, those were the years we did it bi-weekly. Same with 2023. And then 2024 was the first year we did it monthly. And this was very strategic because we were like, okay, we need to spread out the funds, right? And then we also need to pay for permits in the park now. That was the best part, bro. They couldn't say nothing to us about being in the park anymore. You know what I mean? Yeah. We actually had permission from the city. Like, that was the best, man. That was the best because it was like, okay, we signed off on the paperwork, permit for the park done. Noise permit for the park. There's like a few different permits, right? There's like the park permit, the noise permit. There's insurance. Like, they really put you through the ringer for this stuff, you know what I mean? And it's important that the city does fund projects like this, you know what I mean? Because it's something that enhances the quality of life in the city. It makes the city more vibrant. People know Toronto as a vibrant, cultural, creative, artistic, musical city. So why don't we put that at the forefront and celebrate our artists, you know what I mean? Celebrate our curators and celebrate these events in a sustainable way that we're not like gouging each other, you know what I mean? Proper. So I don't know. It definitely was helpful getting the grant. I'm happy that I got it. I definitely need to apply for more. And yeah, man.
Yeah, proper. Speed things up for a bit too. You did have like a project out right now, Heat Rising. It's out on Bandcamp and all that too. So what was like the creative process and inspiration for that project? And is it like something that's like the same creative like process like all around when making music?
Yes. So for me, when I'm writing, I just go in until I don't stop for the most part. Like, I'll just write a straight 16, and then I'll think of the hook, and then I'll write the other verse. But honestly, Heat Rising was kind of over the years. It was kind of like a compilation, you know what I mean? And it was about heat rising. It was about literally like the environmental heat rising, about my own status rising, or not status, but my own skill levels rising. You know what I mean? My own abilities and all that stuff rising to the top. And still is bringing that heat. There's a lot of like school elements in there, just talking about my upbringing, just being playful with my words. Yeah, it's really just an expression of me and who I was at that time, written and recorded in 2017, actually. All right. And then released in 2022. Lied, right? Taking so long to drop. I don't know. It just, life happens, you know? So, but I do have a couple tracks on the way. I got Confidence coming out. I got another MC joint coming out. And I do have one track that I'm featured on right now that's on all platforms called Dreams by Elijah Wright and Angela Asiana. But that honestly, that back to that album, like, yeah, I loved making it. I made it at this place called May Studios. It used to be Friday Roots and Vibes as well. Like, it used to be a bunch of things. It's across the street from 7-Eleven. I don't know if you know that one that's on Dundas. Yeah, it used to be like an amazing basement studio. That's why I recorded it. I'm like, why am I not forgetting? I'm forgetting the engineer's name right now. But he was cool, you know. Yeah. We did our thing, and he helped me out. And I got it actually remastered. I remastered the project by Lou. Shout out to Lou from the audio station. You know what I mean? Yeah. Yeah, he remastered the project for me. And it was more just to get it out. Like, yo, just put this out. Put it on Bandcamp, and put it on SoundCloud, and put it on YouTube. And that's because, yeah, the music platforms, like, you have to pay for. Obviously, I do want to like pay for it and like put my stuff out there, but it was like the easiest thing I could do at the time. And I also didn't feel like supporting Spotify either, because I don't know, I just have some things about Spotify. They're doing some waste stuff, you know,
Yeah.
So I just didn't feel like supporting it. I know that they can elevate everything when it comes to artistry, but I still feel like there's other ways around it. So I was just trying to be the most conscious about it at the time. And I also just like didn't want to have to go through all that. Like it was just really easier to put it on Bandcamp, SoundCloud, and YouTube, and it's independent and I can like manage it myself. But I am planning on dropping that same project on all platforms as well as more projects in the future.
Okay, proper.
You know what I mean?
You know, you also became a top 8 vocal scratch beatbox award finalist back in 2023. So, how did you feel like when you became like a finalist at that time, and did it like kind of like change everything for you in a way?
Yeah, that was crazy, man. Someone was like, it was Andre. Shout out to Andre Gibson Beatbox. Like, you know, definitely big upbringing when it comes to beatbox in my life. Just like having a friend that's a beatboxer. You know what I mean? He sent me the post. He's like, yo, there's a wild card submission for this beatbox world championship in Germany, bro. Like, you gotta do this. I'm like, okay. So I submitted my wild card video. I got in the top 20 in the world, and I was like, whoa, like I gotta go. They're like, yo, you got top 20, like you gotta fly to Germany now. Like, I was like, what? Like, yeah, out of pocket. I'm like, what? I'm like, no. You know what I mean? So I'm like, okay, what do I do? So I started a GoFundMe. Like I literally started a GoFundMe, and then I was like, yo, everybody, if y'all want to see me win the world championship, I'm gonna need everybody's help. Like I'm the only Canadian Jamaican going to represent at the Beatbox World Championships right now. I need everyone's help. And like the community came together. God bless them. You know, I'm really, really, really grateful for my community. Shout out to everybody in 2023 that got me to Germany, because that definitely changed my life. I met like hundreds of beatboxers. I got to connect with my uncle who lives out there. I got to meet so many different people, and it was just such a fun, great experience for me. Competing again, it's been a while, and it was a special category, vocal scratch. Yo, it's like TLOY talks, TLOY talks. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you mean, man.
Anything to do with the. That was the whole part of that was the whole category of the beatbox competition. So I had to go through elimination first, So to get from top 20 to top 8, I had to go through an elimination round. And then they scored me up, and then I ended up in the top 8 with a chance to battle. I battled, and I unfortunately didn't proceed to the next round, but it was very humbling. I got to meet the beatboxer that I battled was so dope. Like this guy from France. He's got like 10 years on me, you know what I mean? And it's just like, he killed it. He really killed it. And we both killed it. And he taught me a lot of new tips and tricks when it comes to beatbox, vocal scratch too. So I just really am grateful for the whole experience, Yeah, man, you can definitely go watch that on YouTube. I remember shouting out "Old Time Killin'." That was my routine for that set. I did a old time killin' beat. It's like I was like, this right here, the champion sound. And I just went in, and I was kind of screaming and yelling. I was amped, but I was like, When I watch it, I'm like, sometimes I don't like watching it, but I'm just like, that's growth, fam. Like, you gotta really just take it in, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's been 3 years.
Yeah, man.
So
I'm glad to hear that, man. Just to kind of end it off right here, like, what do you have for like the rest of the year, and do you have any like closing remarks you'd like to say on all that?
Yeah, 100%, man. I appreciate you for having me. For the rest of the year, I just plan on grinding. I plan on making money. I plan on busking. I plan on dropping these tracks. Like, I've been performing these tracks, and people have been like, yo, Lad, you gotta perform these tracks. Like, they're hot, they're heat. Like, do it. And I'm like, okay. So more beatbox collab videos as well, like with Zakisha and other artists. More beatbox collab performances. Sunset Cypher is coming up Sunday, June 28th. Look out for that. Follow Sunset Cypher on Instagram for the official drop. And as well as Real MC YYZ. Spotlight Sessions, the last one of the year or of the season, is June 18th coming up. So yeah, those are the next few things, but look out for us this summer. Definitely a lot coming up, yeah, definitely a lot in the works, man. Just lots of music, lots of performances. Yeah.
Proper, man. Like I know, like for like the other stuff that we might have like missed, we'll definitely like have you back on to like even like do like a part 2, discuss like more about it too, and like
I'm down.
I think like dive deep more on that. I think you have an interesting story, and like there is like a lot more that people would like to like know more and all the know, but
100%, man. No, I appreciate it.
for sure.
Yeah, hopefully that gives everyone a little more insight into the life of Realije, you know?
Dope having you on, man. We'll definitely have you back on. Great story, great journey, and everything else too. And wishing like nothing but the best for you, your brand, Spotlight Sessions, Real MC YYZ, and Live Cipher, and all that, and much more, and all that. So
Thank you so much, man. I really appreciate you, dog.
for sure,
Thanks, dog.
Yeah, regardless, regardless, man. Yo, this is Josh, also known as Yashu. Another episode of the TLOY Talks podcast. You can get this on platform Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, Buzzsprout, much more. Definitely check out Realije and the events he has like going on throughout the city too with Spotlight. Much more. Definitely catch him on like a lot of events coming up soon and all that. Definitely check out his like stuff when he can on Bandcamp and on YouTube. But yo, we're just signing off right here, So
Wait a minute. 1990 Studios. Lenza Yashu and the Realije. Beatbox MC. Peace and love, y'all.
signing off,